Okay, hello everyone. And today I thought I would show you how you can learn to Travis pick pretty easily. And I was kind of reflecting earlier today about when I first started to Travis pick, and it was a long time ago, 40 years ago probably. But I didn't have a teacher, and but I had already played and knew my basic chords, and so I kind of figured out how to do it. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I did where you don't have to have any music or tablature. But let's so there's no script for this. I'm just kind of going blindly and just going to remember some of the things I did. But let's just take it from this point. Let's start with an A chord. We'll do some major chords. And I'm assuming you know A chord, C, D, E, all your basic open position chords. You know every major chord and minor chord and dominant chord has a root and a fifth. And when you're playing along with somebody in a group, usually the bass player is playing one of those notes, either the root and the fifth over a chord, as well as other tones too. But those are tones that outline the chords and make the listener hear the whole package. So let's take an A chord, for example. The root of the A chord is on the fifth string, the A note. The chord is named after the root. The fifth, in this case, is on the top string, the E. That's up 5 from A, B, C, D, E. Okay, but we're going to play the E on the big string. So when you Travis pick, many times you're just outlining the chord. You're playing the bass notes, the root and the fifth with your thumb, and then you're playing the rest of the chord with your finger or fingers. Now Travis only used one finger. He used his index finger and he used his thumb, and that was it. I'm going to use a couple fingers because that's the way I learned to play. But very simply, you could grab the chord, start with the fifth string, and play on beats 1 and 3. You play the bass notes. So you go string 5 and then pluck the remaining 3 strings, or strings 4, 3, and 2 in your chord, and then hit the top string. So it kind of gives you a boom, chick, feel. If you say chick is the chord plucking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you're essentially Travis picking with an A chord, and the root's on the fifth string, and the fifth is on the sixth string in this case. Sometimes they will be on different strings depending on the chord. Now another thing about Travis picking, this is kind of an aside, but Travis and people like Chet Atkins and others would take the heel of their hand and rest it over the bridge like this and get kind of a muffled sound. Just the heel of your hand basically over strings 6, 5, and 4. And then strings 3, 2, and 1 would ring out. Like that. Now that's a personal preference if you want to do that. A lot of times on nylon string, for me that doesn't come out as well. So I don't mute a lot on the nylon string. I would do it more on the electric, but I do it depending. I have several nylon strings. Some are more receptive to that than others and bring it out. Others don't. This one doesn't bring it out so well. Okay, so to recap, we have an A chord, and the bass notes are on strings 5 and 6. So it's 5, pluck. Now, when I pluck the chord, I'm using my thumb on the 4th string, and my 2 fingers on strings 3 and 2. This 4th string is another E note. So essentially your bass is kind of doing this with your thumb. In other words, 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. That's your repeating pattern. And then when I hit the 4th string, that's when I'm plucking the other 2 strings, strings 3 and 2, to get the chord. Only when I do the 4th string. which is on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bass note's falling on beat 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And on 2 and 4, there's another bass note, but it's with the chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now some people call that when there's 3 bass notes, which is string 5, 4, 6, 4. And this would be a root. This is 5, and this is 5 an octave lower. But some people call that a rotating bass instead of an alternating bass. If it were just 2-note bass like this, or like this, well, never mind. We'll stick with this. That would be alternating. So if two bass notes alternating, if it's three bass notes, you can call it rotating. You can call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But let's look at a C chord though. All right, here's a C, and this is the what I did in the beginning was I took every chord I knew and looked for the root and the fifth. Try to find where the root and the fifth are, and then those are the bass notes that you're going to play. So in the C chord, the root is on the 5th string 3. Then I'm going to pluck these other 3 strings 3, 2, and 1 on beat 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then the 5th is on the G here on the big string or the 6th string 3rd fret. So these are our bass notes. So we'll go 1, pluck, on 2, bass note 3, pluck, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, got that? This is very elementary so far, of course, because we're just playing the chord on beat 2 and 4. And this kind of looks like a two-note bass to me. Boom, chick, or root, 5, and so on. Let's look at a D chord. The root on the D is the 4th string D. Here's the chord with my other 3 fingers. And the 5th of the chord is on the A. And you can use your ear and pretty much figure these notes out where they're going to be. It wouldn't be the 6th string if you went, no, you want to play the 5th string. And that's the 5th of D, which is A. And just like the A chord, the 5th is on the next lowest string. So the root is on the 4th. So you go 4th string, pluck, 5th string, open, pluck. Okay. Now, I know this is real elementary, so let's take it up a step here for you players that already have this part down. The next thing I did was to work on syncopation. Now, how did I do that? Well, going back to the A chord for a second, I would do the bass note and then pluck 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So essentially, I'm plucking a couple notes on the end of 1 and on the end of 3? 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And I just made little exercises like that where, okay, I'll pick on the end of 1 and the end of 3. Okay. On the D chord, it would be on C, it would look like this. But this is just one way it looks. You can make your own exercises. They don't have to sound exactly like me, but what you're trying to go for here is your independence between your thumb and your fingers. This is almost akin to slide or stride piano, where the pianist plays the root and the 5th, boom, chick with his left hand, and then his right hand is playing chords or melody, or both. So now you've got something on the and of 1 and 3. The next thing I did was little exercises like this. just play a couple notes in the chord and play some kind of little arpeggio, which is a broken chord or a chord played one note at a time. Play some little arpeggio thing like that. Or an arpeggio, here's a C, maybe play like, and then pluck on the fourth. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Your bass is still falling on beat 1 and 3. And then try it on another chord. Here's an E chord. Okay, so just little exercises like that, but take every chord you know. Now these are open position chords. They all had open strings in them, and they were played in the first 3 frets. But let's say that you played, well, let's do a couple minor chords as well before we go on to bar chords. So like here's A minor. Just like A major, the root is on the 5th string, and the 5th is on the 6th string. So you could have this. Slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Or 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Don't worry about the count so much. I mean, it's important, but use your ear and see if you can keep that thumb separated. Now, it took me a while when I first started doing this many years ago. I couldn't do it in song after song. Each new song was kind of a new challenge to me, but I just had to work until I got that kind of thumb kind of went on autopilot. Then I could bring in the chords. And so on like that. So just make your own exercises and just keep that thumb laying on that bass. Here's E minor. The root this time is on the top string, 6. There's the E, and the 5th is the B note here. Well, there's another E on the 4th string, 2nd fret, another 5th, I'm sorry, another root. So you could have like, and your bass notes are going 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. And when I hit the 4th string, I'll pluck these other 2 strings. Then I'll throw in some syncopation. Now don't worry about the speed in the beginning. The speed is not as important as getting the coordination down between the thumb and the fingers there, and the independence between the thumb and the fingers. The speed part will come as you get more comfortable. So don't worry about that right now. Let's take a bar chord. Let's take a bar G, for example. There are 3 G's in this chord, the 6th string, the 4th string, and the 1st string. 2 octaves apart, these two are. These 2 are an octave apart. These 2 are an octave apart. Well, you could have root, root, and then this is the 5th, the D. Here's the 2 bass notes. Where in G, in the G chord, it's the 6th string and the 4th string if you're playing the open G like this. Now, that's 2-note bass. You could also play the 3rd of the chord, 6, 4, 5, 4, and the 3rd is the B note. So these 3 strings right here, G, B, and D, would make a G chord. So you could play now. The 3rd is not the strongest of the 3 bass notes, and the bass notes are all chord tones, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. But the 3rd is an essential note sometimes to use. But it's always a matter of your personal choice. And when I'm playing a song, I'm not always playing totally all 2-note bass note chords or all 3-note bass note chords. The 1st chord I might play the root and the 5th. The 2nd chord I might play the root, the 5th, and the 3rd. And in some cases, it might only play the root and the third. So it's never consistent from chord to chord. It can be, but again, it's music and it's art, and you use what sounds good to you, and let your ear be the final guide, because it will tell you. Okay, let's look at this bar G chord again then. So you got 6, 4, 5, 4. It's good alternating bass or rotating bass, whatever you want to call it. And then on beat 4, we'll pluck these two strings 2 and 3. But it could just as easily be all 3 strings. Then to throw in these two ahead of the bass note, ahead of the 4-string bass note, and then maybe again on the 4-string bass note. So off the beat, then on the beat right here. Off, on. Sorry. So just make up a little rhythmic exercises like that to keep you, learning and adding more versatility to what you're doing. Let's see. Let's do this. One and 2 and. So it'll be 6, 4, 3 and 2. That'll be an arpeggio or a broken chord. Then the 5th string, and then pluck these 3. So again. So this is a kind of a 2-measure exercise. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second measure is very simply just root, root, 5, and pluck, or note, pluck, note, pluck, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick. So the first measure was 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try that on an open C. Now also, when I play this chord, I'm kind of stopping it, then coming back in with my fingers and stopping it again, or touching the strings again to cut it off. Just to give it a nice crisp sound, but you could let it ring. But you see how I took that same rhythm and did it on a C, alternating my bass, strings 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 6. Let's try a D. Our bass notes are on 4 and 5. Back to G, and you can do the G open. And that time I chose to play the 5th string 2nd fret, the B note. So my bass notes are going. But they could have went 6, 4. Let's do it on G7. This isn't really a Travis pattern here, but let's try it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and where'd I go? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. You could do it in waltz time also. But there, I just walked C, B, A to G on the 6th string 3rd to get a little descending bass line. And over here I just played the outline of the C chord. And the second time I plucked. The 3rd time I arpeggiated again. The 4th time I plucked. So So that was an alternating exercise. Very simple. Then I'll go to F. Now on the F, I went to an E note, then a C chord here, and then a G7, and then added the bass note here. Reminds me of the exercise I have in a book that I did. You can find it on my website, called Fingerstyle Guitar in 3 Steps, Beginner, Intermediate, and Advanced. And it has some arpeggio exercises in there like that. Let's see. I guess it goes like this. Or now those are more like, I would maybe call those folk style, like maybe Peter, Paul, and Mary would play. But they still require that same independence between the thumb and the fingers that you're using in a Travis picking. But anyways, the focus on this was just to get you started Travis picking. So go back to the bar chords for a second. Let's take a B minor. The B minor's root is down here at the A minor. It's just an A minor made movable by moving it up, using these 3 fingers and moving it up 1 fret. It's B flat minor. 2nd fret, now it's B minor. And the root is on 5, and the 5th is on the 6th string. And then you have an F sharp here, another 5th. There's your bass note. Once you get that thumb independent, and it's going to take you a while, don't give up. Don't give up. It took me months, several months, to get really independent where I didn't have to think about my bass note and my fingers being separate. It just automatically finally started to happen. It happens a little bit at a time, but it does happen, so do not give up. But once you get it, you can start doing these independent things like... And these 3 fingers, you can kind of just bring in at will, and you won't even be thinking about what rhythms you're playing. You'll just play them and they'll sound good to you. But the thumb will be the timekeeper. That's the secret. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hotel California, right? That came out, but there it is. But this, like I said, the thing is, take all the chords you know and all the chords you don't know. When you find a new chord, look for the root and the 5th. For example, here's the C9, very popular in blues. Root again is on the 5th string. The 5th is on the 6th string 3rd, and this is the 3rd of the chord, the C-E. A7. Root is on 5. The 5th is on the 4th string 2. And then here's another 5th over here. These 2 are an octave apart. Now, you know that chord, if you play with these 2 fingers and bar the 1st fret, you get B flat 7. The bass notes don't change. They're still on 5, 4, 6, 4. B7, C7, then just start practice moving your fingers around. Best you can, or play with 2 fingers. See, I'm not great at that one, but anyways, that's the idea. But any chord, there's There's an F major 7. Playing it with these 3 fingers, and then there's a G on the bottom. So you can look at it as it's really a G9 with an 11 in it. Is one way to look at it, but you could also see it as F major 7. And you could still play your I just flatted that 9. There's a 13, and so on. So whatever the chord, you can just find the bass notes and keep playing. Okay, let's recap real quickly. Take all the chords you know, the open string chords, the bar chords, find the root and the fifth, and they're generally on strings 4, 5, and 6. And they're more predominantly on strings 5 and 6. The root's either on 5 or it's on 6. But find it with your ear or look up a chord chart or something and do the very simple exercises like that. Slowly. Maybe where you just pluck on beat 4. 1. Or on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm plucking when my thumb hits the 4th string. And do that with all the chords you know. Make up your own exercises and just have fun with it. I think that's about all I can tell you about it today. I hope this has helped. Travis picking is so much fun. You can use it in everything. When I was younger, I used it so much that the other players would make fun of me a lot of times because I wanted to play every song using Travis picking. And that's what I did for a long time. Now I don't do it too much anymore. But anyways, I'll play a little bit on the way out here. We'll do a little bit of that song I was doing a little bit ago. This is a Chet Atkins arrangement, but this is a Crystal Gale tune. This is Travis picking. Anyways, you get the idea. I hope this video has helped you a little bit with learning to Travis pick. If it did and you like it, then you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button below and let me know if there's something you would like me to cover in this style or other styles, and I'll be glad to do a video on it. So just kind of let me know, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.